And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Friday morning, looking at some IFR here over the southeast Bering Sea, and marginal VFR really for the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, and the remainder of the Bering Sea up here, right up to St. Lawrence Island and the Seward Peninsula, actually from the northern Yukon Delta, all the way up into the northwest coast there, and eastward here, east-northeast, VFR, IFR, Eastern Arctic Coast, IFR, Kuskokwim Valley, northeastward into a pretty expansive area here over the eastern and southeast interior that extends down into western Prince William Sound and Passage Canal, as well as Kodiak Island and Kamishak Bay. Southeast coast here, VFR, big change though for tomorrow afternoon as IFR rolls right on in and covers about the northern 3/4 of the southeast coast. And still some IFR here, southeast interior, particularly the Copper River Basin area down into, again, western Prince William Sound, Passage Canal area, some IFR here over the western Alaska Range. VFR along the Yukon River all the way down to the Delta, Nunivak Island, marginal VFR for the Kuskokwim Valley, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, as you can see here. The Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, right on up into the Chukchi Sea, good VFR, IFR, Central Eastern Arctic Coast. And that kind of holds in place there for the day on Saturday morning, or for the time frame Saturday morning. And otherwise, marginal VFR westward to about Point Lay, there southwestward, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, Noatak Valley, Northwest Coast, Seward Peninsula, VFR right down into the Yukon Delta, and then along and south of the river there, we've got marginal VFR becoming IFR here, especially for the eastern Alaska Range, but kind of wrapping all the way down in toward the Aleutian Range there across Kamishak Bay. Some IFR now for Kodiak Island, Prince William Sound, Saturday morning, IFR, and southeast coast improving from what you'll have tomorrow, or for Friday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. For Saturday morning, VFR over the southern half there, marginal to the north, and then looking ahead to the afternoon, improvement continues here. A lot of VFR now for the southeast coast, North Gulf Coast, and Prince William Sound. Also for the Copper River Basin, now up into the central Tanana Valley. IFR here, Western Cook Inlet, Western Alaska Range, right on up toward the Yukon River there, and then a little bit of IFR left on the north slope, otherwise not too bad, marginal VFR. And big area of IFR out here to the west coming in toward Adak Island in the afternoon, otherwise marginal all the way up to the southwest coast. And for passes tomorrow, and Etobicoke and Adigan, marginal VFR early on, improving to VFR, maybe late morning through the afternoon into the evening. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR at times, rainy, a little worse there, possible IFR, and windy, marginal VFR trending toward IFR as a band of moisture lifts northwestward up into the area. Isabel, IFR the entire day, best chance in the afternoon hours. And for Mentasta, marginal VFR. Tanita, pretty marginal. Portage, IFR, especially on the eastern entrance. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR becoming IFR, possibly by midday or late morning through the afternoon. Freezing levels 2,000 to 4,000 feet, Kuskokwim Bay eastward along the North Gulf Coast, and then angling down along the Panhandle there. And out to the west, about 4,000 feet here over the southern Bering Sea, and then 2,000 feet or less, northern Bering Sea, surface here, Nunivak Island up to St. Lawrence Island, 4,000 feet over the southwest Bering Sea and the western Aleutians. Icing could be a little bit of isolated moderate rime icing here for the Unalaska Island area up along the western and central Alaska Peninsula. Heavier icing possibilities here over the Copper River Basin up to the west, or the Alaska Range here down into northern Cook Inlet, and also from about Yakutat down across to the northern 3/4 of the southeast coast. And for the jet stream here, we've got southwest flow turning westerly at about 70 knots there up as it blows into the Yukon, and southwest at about 80 knots here over the northern southeast coast, and then down to the south toward Dixon Entrance. Otherwise, not too bad out here over the Bering Sea at this elevation. Northerlies 65 to 70 knots over the western Bering down toward Kiska and Amchitka Island. 9,000 feet, northerlies up to 40 knots here, right out in the north-central Bering Sea, south of St. Matthew Island, dropping off to about 30 knots out of the north there for Adak and Atka. Light winds over the central and southern interior, but easterlies 35 knots. Central Brooks Range, kind of breezy across the central north slope to the Arctic coast. Southerlies 30 knots over the northern panhandle, down to 3,000 feet. Light winds here for the southeast coast. Real narrow band here along the eastern North Gulf coast there of about 20 to 30 knots. But up here over the north central interior, across the Koyukuk, Kobuk Valley out to the Seward Peninsula, western Brooks Range area here strongest through here, 40 to 45 knots and about 30 knots north slope to the western Arctic coast. And then those winds turn northeast and blow down across the eastern Bering Sea here, 30 to 35 knots right across Atka Island. Turbulence, look for moderate turbulence here from about Nikolsky westward to Adak, below 6,000 feet, surface 6,000 feet, and then moderate turbulence here with those stronger winds from eastern Norton Sound, as well as the western Arctic coast, mountainous areas here, the Long Mountains and Cape Lisburne, Point Hope area, smooth. Southern Alaska, smooth for the eastern Arctic coast and smooth for the southeast coast as well.